What is up, guys and girls? Hurricane Liz here, back for another time machine video. Now, for those of you that are brand new, what does time machine mean? What the hell is that? Well, what it basically is it tells you what sold well at this time last year, or in this case, September of last year. And the reason this is super important is because it'll tell you, it pretty much predicts exactly what you can sell well in the month of September, which means you can prepare right now for what books will be selling on the KDP platform in September. Without a shadow of a doubt, you'll know the best niches and the best types of books that you should be creating or having your VAs create. So I'm super fired up to show you what's selling well in September. I hope you're fired up. Let's do this. All right, guys and gals, here we are using my favorite time machine tool to figure out what the hell sold well in September. That way we're not wasting our time, and that way our VAs are making books that should put some extra bread in our pocket. So let me show you my favorite thing inside of Helium 10 to use. I go over here to these little binoculars, which goes product research. Then I click on black box, and bam, I'm here in black box. Now it's super important to pay close attention to what I'm about to enter here, because this will make or break your searches. So right here, I'm going to check off books because I want to see anything in the books category. And then I'm going to go to advanced filters right here. And there's a super secret sauce right here that I like to use. I like to sprinkle this on everything, especially in the morning on some eggs. Let's go ahead and put here best sales period. We're going to go back to 2020, and we're going to pick good old September to see what sold well. And I can't really imagine, like, I'm trying to think what would sell well in September, and I'm going to go on a limb and say it was back to school books, things of that nature. Things that help kids with their mindset and shit like that, preparing them to go to school. Because I mean, at the end of the day, what kid like to go to school? Like, what kind of nerd like to go to school? Like, I'm not going to say anything about myself, but my mom actually had to drag me home from school. So what kind of nerd likes to be in school, right? All right, September 2020, I'm going to hit the search button, and boom, Helium 10 is going to do its magic. And right down here in a few seconds, it's going to pop up all these available books. And as luck would have it, while I'm making the video, it's taking its sweet damn time. However, it usually is lightning fast. I just can't imagine what it's doing right now. All right, here we are. Let's have a look at what's happening. The only other thing that I like to do, as you guys know, is I like to sort this by monthly revenue. I want to see who made the most bread, right? Let's see who made the most bread right here. And I'm just going to click it twice. Here we have a cookbook. Somebody mentioned in one of the other videos that I did, like, aren't these all just standard books, Liz? Yeah. Well, guys and gals, if you can't use your imagination to how you would turn these into KDP books or low content to no content book, come on. You got to start brainstorming a little more. You got to exercise that brain. That's why God put it there in between our ears, right? So let's see what we got. Elephant and a Piggy, the gifts of imperfection. Like, for example, the gifts of imperfection. Let go of who you think you're supposed to be and embrace who you are. Like, right away, this makes me think of a journal, or somehow incorporating some of the lessons from this, and obviously not plagiarizing them, but stealing like an artist and incorporating them into some type of journal. So that's what I would think of. Same thing with this one, Gifts of Imperfection. You could do a parody on the words. You could do a lot of different things. So I will keep looking until I see something I like. If you gave a mouse a cookie, here's a book that would go well with the serial killer journal that I was talking about the last time. And so far, I'm just seeing nothing but really mainstream books, which, yeah, somebody mentioned a lot of times we will see mainstream books. Here's first 100 words. So this is perfect. It is a padded board book. But again, at the end of the day, not all first 100 word books are padded or board books. So use your imagination to help create that and make it a little better. Now we've got Pete the Cat, which again goes towards what I always talk about, which is brand your shit, people. Brand it. People will buy it. And best of all, if you did a solid job on one book and you come out with more, people are going to want to see Pete do everything from scratch his ass to lick his paws to jump on his owner purring in the morning. They're going to want to see this cat get into all sorts of shenanigans. If you don't believe me, look at Garfield, for Christ's sake. How many people have bought Garfield books, Garfield stuffed animals, have gone to Garfield movies? No matter how painful they are to watch and how horrible they are, people are still going to that. So just remember that. Pete the Cat, I mean, he looks goofy as hell. He wears basketball shoes. I mean, what kind of cat is he, right? Let's see what else we find other than Pete the Cat. It's a new treatment for depression and anxiety. Again, another thing about depression and anxiety, a treatment for it. So you could do a meditation journal, something of that nature that would probably work out. But again, you don't have to gain ideas from every single thing that you see. Now, when I happen to see more ideas that revolve around the same thing or more books that revolve around the same thing, then I certainly start to raise an eyebrow and think like, how could we incorporate this? Here's this kindergarten writing paper, which we've seen in the Hot 100 multiple times. This is 120 blank handwriting practice paper with dotted lines. So again, kindergarten writing paper, which goes to show that there's a lot of interest in September for back to school books. And I would figure out, how can I make or create back to school books? Here's a couples therapy workbook. Now, while you might think like, okay, Liz, like I'm not a psychologist, I can't come up with this shit. Absolutely, I understand that. But as you recall, if you saw my last hot niche videos, there was a bucket list for couples, and there was also a Love Conquers All diary, or as I like to call, the fill-in books. Now, we've seen the fill-in books for moms. We've seen them for girlfriend, boyfriend, grandma, grandpa, brother, even your dog. You can even buy a fill-in book for your dog. I guess you would sit there and recite a love poem to your dog. I don't know. There's lonely people out there. So let's just think of how we could create this couples therapy thing, or just call something couples therapy and take a couple things from the fill-in books and mix them all up, and you got yourself a couples therapy journal. And that's how you do it. Like this one sold $23,000 worth of total books, and its BSR looks like it's 27,000. So this is selling extremely well. And if I wanted to jump into the couples therapy niche and start to create an entire brand over making couples closer, this is where I would start. I would probably go out and purchase a couple of these books and figure out how I could put my own one together, and then just do research on the internet. That's how it would work. It's not that difficult. So I'm going to take a look at a couple more pages here. And then we're going to go ahead and do a very specific search. We might even do like teacher or something to see what pops up. Since, as I said before, September, everybody's back in school, but they're just getting into the thick of things. So we'll probably see a lot of things in terms of learning and teaching and things of that nature. So here we've got a cookbook, a Spanish book, and a Change Your Brain, Change Your Life book. So a lot of the books right now that I'm seeing are mainstream. So that's it. That's not a surprise. That would happen. That could happen. We just can't panic and say like, oh my God, I can't sell anything in September. Nothing's available. Here's a how to draw book. So it looks like a lot of people are doing very many different things in September. It's kind of like all over the place. It's the first real month that I've seen that's just kind of all over the place. It's almost like a shitstorm. And here's an anatomy and physiology workbook for dummies with online practice. There's no real theme happening. Like clearly, if we went into October, we're going to see a lot of Halloween books. Same thing with December. We're going to see Christmas books. But so far, September just seems to be a total shitstorm. Here we have a Christian Arts Gifts notebook journal with God, all things are possible. So that sold extremely well, 16,000 in total. The Napping House board book, Mushrooming Without Fear, the Beginner's Guide to Collecting Safe and Delicious Mushrooms. So this makes me think that there might be like a month, it might be mushroom month. So perhaps some mushroom journals, and I would look into more detail of when is mushroom month. And look at this, September is National Mushroom Day. Luckily that Google can change it because I have here Mushroom Day, and National Honey Month. So a honey journal with the bear on it or something, a mushroom journal, a mushroom diary, something like that, because $16,000 were sold of this crap, and it's just all about mushrooms. Like, that's crazy. That's almost ridiculous, right? So the Beginner's Guide to Collecting Delicious Mushrooms, the Ultimate Book of Planet Earth. So it seems like some people are more earth conscious in September. That could be a reason to create a journal and or a diary with the earth on it, or sayings about protecting the earth, talking about endangered species, all that kind of crap on there. People love that stuff. And I'm not saying that I don't by calling it crap. That's just kind of one of my favorite words. Here's astrology, using the wisdom of the stars in your everyday life. So this gives me the idea, start creating astrology journals. I've never thought about that. I do have a friend who has a store that's entirely about the different zodiac signs. So this is the perfect example of something to do, since it does pretty well in September. Now, looking at this book, this could cause me to lead further investigation. And I'll show you at the end of this, if I do remember. You guys know that I have a horrible memory, so we'll see if that happens. Nothing you don't already know, remarkable reminders about meaning, purpose, and self-realization. A lot of people working on themselves in September, so that's a perfect idea and niche to jump into. Here's a book about piano, including lessons, and then losing weight like crazy. Let's face it, people are trying to lose weight all year round. So let's look at a couple more of these pages, and then we'll go ahead and jump into the astrology thing and see what we can break down with astrology. Like, most of these are just mainstream books, so not a big deal. a lot of times we can still grab ideas from them and then use them, maybe not as a concrete idea that we know is going to work, but perhaps it's just something that we throw at the wall and see if it works, not putting a ton of effort into it. Every night is pizza night. We talked about how that was important. The Ultimate Toddler Activity Guide. So here we have some more books about learning. Obviously, this is for a toddler, and that's great because you could also break it down into the ultimate guide for such and such. Like it could be for 5 to 10-year-olds. It could be for 12 to 13-year-olds. It could be broken down into several different age ranges. And again, calling it the Ultimate Guide to Toddlers, always call your books, if you create one, the ultimate guide to this, because as kids get older, parents will put them in those brand new books. So always remember that you're still building a brand despite the fact you don't have like a character per se. You still are building a brand with just the name itself. So let's look at the 7th and final page, and then we will jump into the astrology stuff and get into the goods, right? Calculus for dummies, not a big deal. Like it's not like any of us are professors and we're going to just belt out a calculus book or a statistics book in that case. And pretty much primarily, I've seen like September is pretty calm. Like I said, it's like a shitstorm of all sorts of different things that are working. And that could perhaps be because people are already just waiting it out for October and all the rest of the months that are going to happen. Here's Dot Marker's activity guide. This did 8,500, which is pretty darn good. This is do a dot a page, giant, large addition. And that's about it. So let's go ahead and see here. Here we have again, transforming anxiety into courage, confidence, and resilience. So a lot of people having a lot of problems with anxiety, mindfulness, and things of that nature. So hopefully that gives you guys some ideas that journals are working very well. Here's a pen and ink drawing workbook. Now, I don't know exactly how these work, but I saw the part 1. This is volume 2. Same thing. Both part of the brand are doing very well, because if you do good on one book, people are going to look for your other books, so they're going to see what else does this publisher make. So that's where it works real well there. That's where it works real well there. So let's look at one last thing. Let's do a title key search, and let's eliminate all months here, and let's just take a look at astrology and see what pops up. Now, we could get a lot of books about the zodiac and things of that nature, so we could further even subdivide this. We could put astrology diary or journal and see if anything pops up here. I did not pick a best sales period. I just want to see in general what are the top astrology guidebooks, or do they sell at all? And so far it looks like they do not. And that could just be because of the fact that nobody titles them astrology journal, which I just did, astrology diary. Hold on, it's still doing it. All right, so this one did a whole $37.96. So maybe that was just a bad search on my part. We could just always go astrology. And the real thing here is we could do journal, or we could always pick a sign, right? So let's put Virgo diary. Let's see what happens if we pick Virgo diary. Is anything selling? And there's a lot of research that we could do for this. It looks like not 747 is, yeah, that's the great Borat said, not, right? Not anything happening there. And maybe that was just a bad idea, but ultimately what would have to happen if I really wanted to get into the nitty gritty of this is I would have to go into astrology and take the hours and hours of research that it might take to figure out what in the hell is selling. As we can see, $87,000 worth of selling of this astrology book, as well as this one. So I would have to just jump into every single one and see what the hell's going on, right? And see if I could find a way to try this myself, or see if there's actually a journal that doesn't have journal in the title, or like this is a workbook for beginners, which is kind of interesting. And so I would dive into this and spend perhaps a couple hours to really look and see what the hell's going on. But for now, I obviously don't have that time in this video. Just know that not all my ideas always pan out, but my whole goal as a creator here is to try to give you as many ideas and get your brain going to be able to try to brainstorm on your own at some point and not have to rely on me, right? So hopefully this helps some of you all, and you'll see that there's some months that just don't make a lot of sense. This is a total shitstorm month, but at least we have mushrooms, right? So I'm gonna go fry up some mushrooms. They sound like they're pretty delicious right about now in a hamburger, and I'll see you guys in the next video.